All right, Chris,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Yeah. Um, I have a few big things to talk about very briefly. Three things that are all interconnected and challenging. As Rose has mentioned, I've been in the hospital lately. Um, and despite their best efforts, the hospital system hasn't killed me yet. Um, one thing I've learned over the years is that one way to learn things is to be active and participating and generating, in a way, your own energy and action and learning from that. And the other way is to stand perfectly still and watch what you can see as the world flows around you. Well, not that this was my choice, but being in the hospital has given me a splendid opportunity to watch what's going on, to do the latter. So I'm in the hospital, um, waiting for this, waiting for that, get in the room, is the nurse coming, all this crap. Um, and I'm just chatting a little with people. And, what comes up is, where are you from? Or what do you do for a living? So I say, well, I'm managing editor of the website Drug Green Party of Florida. Oh, that's interesting. And I happen to be writing this article about what's been going on in Ukraine. Did you know that a few weeks ago, this world was very close to World War III? Oh, yeah. NATO's conducting maneuvers in Western Europe. Um, the Ukrainian government is looking to attack the Russian forces in eastern Ukraine. And the government is allied with Nazis. They're not just they're Nazis because they're mean and nasty, but because they're direct descendants of the Ukrainians and Poles who joined with Nazi Germany during World War II to exterminate the Jews in those countries. And the government is acting like it's in control. We can bully, Russia Federation any way they want to. What does Putin do? He doesn't play tit for tat. He sends 100,000 Russian troops to the Ukrainian border and says, basically, if you mess with the Russian-speaking people of eastern Ukraine, we're going in. And we will mop you up quickly, which is not a fake bluff at all. Biden backs off. The right wing in this country, whatever. Biden backs off. The United States can no longer play the game that we can just, escalate, 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 as though the other side can't escalate right back. And so we're in a world with an uneasy peace. Okay. So anyway, I'm having these conversations in pretty much plain English. And it's not like I have nothing better to do than complain about hospital food. And I notice that something has changed in the last year. Well, number one, Biden's in charge. Trump is gone. The right wing is going crazy, whether it's on the surface or below the surface. And Biden is cranking up the anti-Russia, anti-China hysteria. But at the same time, realizes that we can't talk enemies. We have to talk about competitors, such as progress. Very unstable, still potentially frightening, just as this last one was very similar to the Cuban Missile Crisis, except that it was Kennedy versus Khrushchev. They cut a deal. Here, you don't have a united government. You don't have a united NATO. Nazis running loose, and it's unstable, dangerous. These are the times. So, the point of all this, in a sense, is that I'm actually able to have these conversations with patients, with nurses, and they're perfectly ordinary conversations. There's not the kind of conversations, well, these people are mainstream, and I'm a leftist, and how do I speak in such a way that doesn't turn them off, or whatever. They're interested. They have questions. They have comments. Real conversations. Now, it could be, of course, that a year ago I was too stupid to know this. But apart from that, something has changed among the American people. That the events of COVID, Trump, world affairs, Palestine, Israel, have ripped apart the status quo, and opened up opportunities for political dialogue from the left that 1 year ago did not exist. Because we were in anybody but Trump mode. So I'm able to have these conversations. And one thing I realized is there's an incredible opportunity here. I'm not the most sociable person. Some call me even crabby. But these were easy conversations to have. And the other thing I realized is for all the Green Party's problems and things not happening and things breaking down, the Green Party has not caught up with this change in the American public, in the American mainstream. And anybody but Trump has blown away the American left in a way that it hasn't been blown away since the 1950s. And we got to get up to speed. So, let me just say, very bluntly, the Green Party, in terms of international affairs, is weak, inadequate, lazy, in a rut, doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So, we're against war. Oh, that's good. We come from a position of moral superiority compared to the rest of the world. But we don't have that luxury or that moral superiority. We got to know more about world affairs than that bombs are bad, war is bad, and we're for peace. We're against intervention. There's bright lights all around Israel, Palestine, defending Venezuela, defending Cuba, but it doesn't go much beyond that. What about Iran? What about China? What about the Russian Federation? What's happening in Europe? This stuff is impacting on us. See, back in the 50s, there was a Red Scare. And what happened was the McCarthyite Red Scare blew away the American left. And I don't just mean it blew away the Communist Party, USA. It blew away the whole thing because everybody on the American left was vulnerable to this kind of red baiting, boxed into a position of my country, right or wrong, at least sometimes, whatever. And it killed it. And it killed it until the civil rights movement and the peace movement in the 1960s. Well, if you listen to Joe Biden's press conferences and speeches and stuff, he talks about COVID. Well, we have to outdo the Chinese in terms of vaccines. The economy, jobs, build back America. Why? Because of Russia and China and Iran. This stuff, we can't hide from this stuff. They are coming after us. Regardless of whether we're red hot commies or lukewarm liberals or whatever. They're coming out with this because the situation is in an absolute crisis. That we're just, see, you didn't know this stuff about Ukraine probably. Why? Because the U.S. media is conducting a very deliberate cover-up. They don't want you, the American people, to even know that we were on the edge. What were the factors? Who were the players? They don't want the American people involved, right, left, or center. They don't want the Trump people involved because they're going to go China, Russia crazy against Russia and the Democrats. The left, they're going to come after us. They've already come after us. And the good news and the bad news is that it's the Green Party that is left standing. And that's in some ways a tragic situation. But what I've been talking about is we're facing a great opportunity to take a serious message to the American people in a way that no other electoral party can. But to get into the collective works of Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Responsibility is freaking me out, but it's for real. We got to deal with it. We got to learn some stuff. So I've written a couple articles for the webpage already. Nobody's feet will be held to the fire. parts 1 and 2, that lays out the parameters of the situation in kind of a more general way. And if you haven't read it, read it. If you have read it, read it again so that you can teach it to others. See, part of that responsibility is that we as activists do good stuff, say good stuff, we do our jobs, whatever. As activists, every one of us sitting in this virtual room has to go to a different level to become an organizer. Because the problem is, the masses can come flocking to us. Hey, you sound good. What do we do? And if we are not organizers, they come. They see very little. They leave. It means each of us taking a certain responsibility for the totality of the party. Not just, do I do my job, but can I be teaching other people, incorporating them into the Green Party? You don't just do it by having a good message and a lot of key values. Well, they're all good, of course. It means ways of relating to each other, ways of talking to each other, learning to talk politics outside of the parameters of Bernie Sanders. Because what I'll say about Bernie Sanders is he's a scumbag, sellout Democrat. But his message is very, very similar to ours. So you're out there, the world's in crisis, what am I going to do? With the Green Party, I can't even find them. I can't even get the party to answer the phone. Bernie Sanders is there to sell you out. So this responsibility is on us. This opportunity is on us. And that's what we got to take on in the next year. I don't think we're looking at a huge expansion in the party in the coming year. We're still getting our act together. But now we got to get it together. Our committees, our infrastructure, things like, for instance, the Bose database, the upgrade in the website, the fact that we have a core of, I think, very good people. I think the state party is stronger than our affiliates. Well, in some ways that's bad. But once your state party has its shit together, you can build around it. If you don't have that core, you're always mucking through the swamp. So that's where we're at. And I hope we can do something with this. And I thank you for hearing me out. Over.